friendly competition? Crush them.
Welcome back to the Top 10 Vault. Today, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 video games that received a massive amount of hate in 2024.
What? What do you want from me, huh?
Pull yourself together.
Ow! Seriously?
Number 10, Silent Hill: The Short Message. Usually, making a game free to play is a good way to mitigate bad publicity. But in this case, it was not. Silent Hill: The Short Message was widely hated for not its short length or its bare-bones gameplay, but rather the lack of any meaningful message behind its story. For the roughly 3-hour playthrough, all the game says is how depression and anxiety are awful without really conveying the true struggles behind them. It's merely a hollow shell of serious subject matter desperately trying to replicate the clever storytelling we experienced in Silent Hill 2. Number 9, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Credit where credit is due. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection has gotten better since it launched in March 2024. However, the catastrophic launch has forever tainted its reputation. Battlefront Classic Collection was a train wreck in terms of technical performance with explosive audio spikes, visual glitches, and abysmal online connectivity. Oh, and did we mention the game only launched with 3 servers? You could say this collection was botched in the most irresponsible manner imaginable. And so many folks were infuriated that you'd be lucky to find even one server halfway filled with players. Really, the outreach against this was far greater than the noise we saw with Star Wars Outlaws. Number 8, Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash.
Gojo's here, there's nothing to be afraid of.
For the most part, Bandai Namco's 3D arena brawlers have been decent cookie-cutter games for various IPs. Although some reached their breaking point with Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. With its basic button mashing and lack of any substantial mechanics for its combat, Cursed Splash felt like Bandai Namco only made the game to cash in on Jujutsu Kaisen's popularity. There was simply nothing here that made the game stand out aside from its license. Not its level design, not its controls or gimmicks, not even its own UI. Some gamers are even discussing whether or not Bandai Namco has an unfair monopoly on licensed games based on anime while demanding the company start investing in these properties properly.
You put lead in your food or something?
Number 7, MultiVersus. At one point, MultiVersus did seem like a worthy competitor to take over the hole left behind by Smash Bros. Ultimate. Alas, the full version 1.0 launch could not have gone any more terribly as it did in May 2024. Not only did the gameplay drastically slowed down with some characters getting smaller movesets, MultiVersus was even more egregious with monetization than it was during the beta. Players are really expected to fork over $10 for Tom and Jerry or $15 for the Joker. You're kidding. Right? Number 6, Alone in the Dark.
Whoa, pardon me, excuse me. My name is Edward Carnby, private investigator.
After having been tormented through 2 reboots, Alone in the Dark returns with a third but under a new owner, THQ Nordic. And as expected, it was anything but decent. Developed by Pieces Interactive, Alone in the Dark had ambition in modernizing the IP in a new era of survival horror yet seemed to forget how to be a compelling game to begin with. Inconsistent tones, uninteresting characters, flat performances, clunky controls, and awkward combat all made this revival less than stellar. Pieces Interactive was closed less than 3 months after the game launched. And now, everyone is left wondering why Alone in the Dark should ever come back again.
As in the devil?
Something like that. He says a dark man is following him, watching him at all times.
Number 5, South Park Snow Day.
They all think they're the actual new kid, but you're the only new kid that matters, right, new kid?
After 2 stellar games like The Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole, one would hope a third game would turn out just as amazing. Unfortunately, that was not the case. South Park Snow Day made us wish we were in school as it turned out to be one of the most boring multiplayer-focused games we've played all year. Between the constant interruption of gimmicks mid-combat and the game's extremely short length, Snow Day was reminiscent of the first South Park games from the 90s and 2000 in the worst ways possible. Even at $30, this game is not worth your hard-earned cash.
Yes, I can, dude. I forged it by completing a quest. It's totally legal. Ask Butters.
Number 4, Dustborn.
Come on, guys. It's a road trip. You have to sing along.
Video games do sometimes get political, as do most forms of entertainment, but get overt or even preachy with your message, and that's what will draw you extreme ire from players. Dustborn was lame in every aspect you'd expect from a video game. Gameplay boils down to wandering around hallways and talking to characters about feelings and unmitigated emotions. The story is inconsistent in tone throughout and hits its own messages over your head with a 5-ton sledgehammer. And for a game themed around GarageBand music, one would hope the songs would be decent. Alas, no. Though some outlets claim Dustborn sold just fine, a low player count on Steam suggests otherwise.
Number 3. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Let it. Batman doesn't kill people.
When you have a studio like Rocksteady that specializes in single-player superhero games, what do you suppose their next game should be? Well, according to Warner Brothers, it should be a live-service online multiplayer game. Despite having a pretty solid story and combat, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League suffered greatly in having an eyesore of a UI, a convoluted economy, and a mundane endgame cycle. And above all, a lazy ending that only served to somehow justify the game's live service aspect. Kill the Justice League wound up costing Warner Brothers $200 million in losses. And even after suffering from this, the corporation is still insistent on its live service agenda with future titles. Number 2. Skull and Bones. Storms are elements of abundant treasure. When it was first revealed at E3 2018, there was something about Skull and Bones that seemed promising. But after suffering several delays and even an entire restart on the project, what hope was there in this game turning out decent? We'll admit that Skull and Bones was one of the most technically sound launches Ubisoft has ever seen. However, the bare bones open world and insanely basic combat left much to be desired. With Ubisoft deeming it a quadruple A game, this immediately made Skull and Bones as well as Ubisoft the laughingstock of the gaming community throughout 2024. And yet, they didn't suffer as badly as our final entry. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Concord.
More bounty cards equals more rep. Grab as many as you can.
2024 was loaded with some embarrassing video games, but none crashed and burned in such a devastating blaze of glory as Sony did with Concord. What was supposed to be Sony's first foray into the hero shooter genre turned itself into a self-inflicted $400 million humiliation. Players were simply not impressed with the game in any way as players lacked any creative visual designs or personality. It received so much hate and apathy that Sony pulled the game from their storefront without warning less than 2 weeks after launch. Developer Firewalk Studios was shut down in October 2024. And as for Concord, this will forever be the IP Sony will never want brought up ever again. Not even for a joke. Did you try out any of these games for yourself before the internet set them ablaze? Share with us in the comments below.
Honestly, those other new kids are all total boners, right, Butters?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from the Top 10 Vault and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell.